right, what's up? This is an extra special episode. We've been talking about doing this for a while. I am Jim Tindo86. I'm joined with Ed. I am joined with Andrew. It's going to be a smaller show, a little more intimate, a little more relaxed fit. But we're going to do our first side quest episode. And if you're familiar with retro video games, you've most likely had to do annoying side quests that kind of take you off track. But that's what I want to do today. And side quests can kind of be anything we want it to be. It probably would have been a good idea to talk about the Game Award nominees. record our entire last hour of just having a conversation. But really, the reason why I wanted to do this is because I love talking about the 90s. I love talking about all things retro, not just video games. And I know that I'm of the same age as most of my friends, and we all kind of have not similar tastes in things, but we grew up in a similar era, that we all experienced very differently from one another. So
in different parts of the country.
and in different parts of the country for sure. And I think it would be fun to just kind of talk about the 90s. And in this episode, really, it's just like when you hear the phrase the 90s or you think about the 90s, what do you think of? So this episode, we're gonna get right into it. Fruitopia. This episode we might talk a little bit about some retro news, but we're gonna do it in a little bit of a different twist on it. So guys, don't forget to feed your Tamagotchis and please remember to tickle your Elmos. Let's talk about the 90s, all right?
Oh man. Whoa. What a segue.
That's our stinger for the show.
No, man.
You went to toys for that.
I did for sure. I was going to talk about a Furby, but I tried to look at I looked up was there a Furby that everybody was afraid of or everybody hated?
Yeah, it was called Any Furby.
Yeah. But I the only thing I found was there are two articles, and I think they're about two different haunted Furbies. And they're both white Furbies. I don't know. No. That's the only similarity I saw between them. They were both white Furbies. So, I was going to try and make a Furby joke, but I didn't have it there. I went toys because, I was of the age of, let's see,
toys were big.
4 to 14, in that era. So, yeah, toys were a huge thing for me. And when I think of the 90s, it's kind of the first thing I think of is toys. But before we get into that, just a little bit of housekeeping. Number one, we are recording this the weekend after we did our Extra Life charity event. We had so much fun. We had a huge group of donations. So we really appreciate everybody that did that and came out and watched us and hung out with us and talked with us. We don't do it for ourselves. We don't do it to get our name out there. We don't do it to, stroke our egos or anything like that. We truly do it to help, children, especially the ones that need it the most, those that are in those situations. I've talked about my situation where I had a cousin that passed away under the care of Children's Miracle Network hospitals. And I know on the other side of that spectrum, Andrew's daughter was born at Texas Children's Hospital. So, it's something that we're going to continue to do because we love doing it. So
really,
we
can give back. We can give back.
Exactly.
I think we're probably going to be on it.
And I know for me, I know that I can't run a marathon. I know that I can't do things where I'm like, hey, pledge 10 cents for every mile I run. I'm never going to be able to do that, but I can play video games for a really long time. So we had a blast. We raised a bunch of money that we wouldn't have raised otherwise for it. I know pretty soon we're talking about maybe at the end of December doing another charity stream with we'll have some more info on that later on. But yeah, thank you guys so much for helping us with that. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yep. And so kind of on to the normally if you listen to Retro Spexx, we always do retro game news, but obviously I want to kind of distance this from that. But I do have some retro news, and I'm going to put Ed on the spot to talk about it a little bit. Friday, we had a new season of Animaniacs drop, and I have not had a chance to watch any of it yet. Unfortunately, I work retail, and it's just to give you some context. This week coming up is Black Friday week, and I don't have time to do anything other than play Yakuza Like a Dragon for the next 10 hours after I get done with this podcast. So Ed, kind of give us your first take on the new Animaniacs.
So, like I was saying earlier, it's not your kid. It's not for your kids. It's really not. Even though it may be billed to kind of be for like the 7 to 13-year-olds as a target audience, it is not. It is definitely for people who grew up watching Animaniacs, and I would say it's been a little bit hit and miss. Some of the jokes are pretty funny, but the self-awareness of the show itself is now, it's been like dialed up by 10. So
would you say it's like just too meta?
Kind of, but at the same time, it's like you kind of need to go that route to reach people our age. Like, you can't just do a zany cartoon show anymore. Like, it has to be somewhat meta.
Look at Rick and Morty.
Yeah. But they're on a whole different thing. But yeah, for the most part, I mean, I'm enjoying it. I'm liking the Pinky and the Brain stuff a lot more than the Warner's stuff right now. But maybe that'll change. I'm only about 5 episodes in.
How many episodes?
12?
12. I want to say it's 12. Yeah. I know me personally, like I have to give it to them for, they say early on in the first episode as a meta joke that the writers wrote everything in 2018.
Yeah.
So I got to give them props for, at least some of the jokes still, hitting, even if some of them feel a little dated meme.
Yeah.
Let me see. There are 13 episodes.
Okay, that
sounds about right.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's not that the jokes aren't hitting. Like, oh my god, when they started singing the songs, I kind of cringed because not because the songs are bad. Like, all the songs in Animaniacs used to be good, but it's like these voice actors have aged, and it's showing in the songs. Like, it shows when they're talking for the most part, except for Just Harnell, who does Wacko. Like, he has not changed. But
he looks the same.
Oh yeah, I mean, dude, when this is going back a few years, when I found out he was Captain Hero,
yeah,
I was like, freaking Wacko.
He's Captain Hero.
Yes,
yeah.
Wacko
I
is
didn't
Captain
know
Hero.
that.
Yeah. So yeah, he still sounds the same as Wacko, like just a little bit, maybe raspier, but not noticeably. Whereas Rob Paulsen and Tress MacNeille, like you can tell they've changed.
Well, did you ever watch Rob Paulsen's podcast or listen to it? Excuse me.
No.
I mean, because I would listen to it and I would watch it because he had it on I think he was partnered with Nerdist at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like you could kind of see the age in Rob Paulsen, like, and he does that classic, easily distracted old guy move where we're talking about something and it's just like, whoop, hold on, let's do this thing real quick, So I mean,
so like doing a podcast with Jim.
Yeah, but yeah, it is 22 years.
No, and I totally understand that, but it's like I get it, but it's not the same. So I have to get used to that. Like that's my thing.
Can I ask without joking, all jokes aside, what age were you when the Animaniacs were on syndication?
I gotta look up when they had their first run.
Yeah, I want to say like 11.
Okay, because I was kind of curious if it was 1993. I think.
Yeah, 93 to 95.
Okay, so I was 10 then.
Yeah. Okay. So I was what? God, I can't do math. 6. Yeah, thank you. I was 6 when it came out. So I had I don't know, for me, like I'm having the opposite. Like I'm enjoying it. There's nothing. I love the music, the songs that they do. I'm not noticing the little things that you're noticing.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if it's because like rose-colored glasses kind of thing. Like when I first watched it, I was watching it just because colors and animals and funny noises and fart sounds.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
You know.
Yeah.
So.
I wasn't, and then in all fairness, and I don't know if you've done this, but have you gone back and watched the original Animaniacs?
Oh yeah.
Like as an adult, it's a completely different show, right?
Oh yeah. It's like
they're like cum jokes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, there's a lot of things that will go over your head. Like
But
as
now,
a kid.
but I feel like they're doing the same thing. It's just we're seeing this as adults for the first time versus because I guarantee you, if I showed my 9-year-old brother-in-law, Animaniacs, he'd probably think it was funny for like just the silly voices and the fart jokes and stuff like that. He's not going to get the fucking nut jokes. You know what I mean?
No.
Or
Yeah,
maybe I don't know. 9-year-olds are sophisticated now. I don't know.
They're different now.
Yeah, and I get that. But like, if you were to show him Animaniacs now, like the new one, no, it would all go over his head.
Okay.
Like he would probably like it for like an anvil hitting somebody's head or something like that. But like the jokes that they're doing, no, they're not for kids.
What do kids watch now? Like I know what young kids watch. Like I know.
Thing I thought was like Ben 10, but that's like years
no, dude,
ago.
that's old, dude.
God!
What?
Airbender, Korra.
No, that's our
way.
age.
No, there's no way their kids are watching that.
Are there shows on? Are there cartoons that are newer that kids like?
Peppa Pig.
If you listeners, if you have a child between the age of like 8 and 13, what shows do they watch, or do they just watch Fortnite videos on YouTube? I gotta assume that's what most of them are doing.
That. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my nephew's 8. He watches a lot of anime. Like he watches My Hero Academia.
Oh, okay, I could see that.
And he likes Dragon Ball, like all of them, though. So
good for him.
What about? I guess SpongeBob has to be up there then because that's still going.
Is this still on? Okay,
that's still on.
I believe so.
Yeah, is the insensitive question. Didn't the voice actor die?
No,
for SpongeBob, no.
Yeah, no. I think
somebody involved with SpongeBob died.
Microphone activated.
Mm-hmm.
No,
I'm not imagining that.
SpongeBob is Tom Kenny,
Tom
right?
Kenny.
Yeah,
Tom Kenny. Yeah, he's still alive. I think there was like a director or somebody who was early on SpongeBob. They passed away.
Oh, the creator died.
Creator, that's what it was.
The creator of SpongeBob died. Okay.
Yeah.
Microphone muted.
So yeah, overall take, good, not great. But
I typed in SpongeBob death, and it's just a bunch of videos on YouTube of SpongeBob dying.
Oh my god!
Wow.
But okay. So like
that was Todd. Everybody, Todd's in the background.
Microphone
I
activated.
was upset with your horrible inaccuracies.
What about what?
Tom Kenny did not die.
I thought, but I knew somebody involved with SpongeBob.
You heard it here first, listeners.
Tom Kenny's dead.
This is how rumors get started.
He's gonna tweet out tomorrow. No, I'm not.
Oh, dude, he could fucking tweet out that he's not dead and say these fuckers over at Retro Spexx. Can you imagine how many listeners?
I'll say I will start declaring all kinds of people dead.
Yeah.
Oh man, who's really popular right now? The Weeknd is dead. Oh,
Microphone activated.
Just in time for the Game Awards, Geoff Keighley is dead.
Microphone muted.
Hideo Kojima to speak on his behalf.
Hideo Kojima owns Konami now. Just start being outlandish.
Oh man.
Oh my god. But yeah, and like, so the one other thing about the Animaniacs thing, we're still on this, is that it's only the 2 properties that they're using. The Warners and Pinky and the Brain.
I was kind of like, I knew, but I mean, obviously, going in that it's just going to be the 2.
But who else? What other little vignette or segments would they have brought over that's
The Good Feathers.
Good Feathers, man.
Okay,
Absolutely.
that is my favorite. That is my favorite. See, here's the thing. I always thought I was the weird one because that was my favorite.
Yeah.
And not Pinky in the Brain, and so
Slappy Squirrel.
Slappy Squirrel's really good too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nina and Buttons.
Yeah. So the Nina and Buttons thing, it's pretty it's just Lassie. Just
but it's funny.
Yeah.
Mr. Skullhead.
Oh yeah. There's no good idea, bad idea, huh?
No.
That's a bummer.
No, there's a lot that you forget about because these were the two main ones, but then you start thinking about it and you're like, I really enjoyed those.
I actually, until you said Mr. Skullhead, completely forgot about Mr. Skullhead.
Yeah. But I like Pinky in the Brain because and this is the other thing that gets me is Rob Paulsen is Pinky, but he can nail that voice, but the Yakko voice he can't do.
I mean, isn't that like a singer not being able to nail a song?
Probably. Again, this is just my own gripe. I respect I really respect voice actors for what they do, because they have to convey everything through just audio. So, so I've gotten used to just hearing all these nuances in their voices, and so when I hear Yakko now, 27 years later, I'm like, it's not quite the same, but I appreciate what they did. But Pinky, Pinky's still on it. and Maurice LaMarche, he will do that Orson Welles voice till the day he dies. And
I love when he does Orson Welles. Oh my god, from The Critic, it's my favorite bit.
Do you know what? It was so funny. When I heard they're bringing Animaniacs back, and I'm like, oh, they're doing Pinky and the Brain. I'm like, wait, Orson Welles is dead. How are they gonna do this? That's how good. But that's how good his fucking Orson Welles is. Yeah. When I see or think about Orson Welles, I don't think about the actor Orson Welles. I think about the fucking critic doing the peas commercial.
Even better, Frozen.
What's funny is I think of Futurama when they have Lur invading Earth. And then Orson Welles narrate it.
Oh man, it's so great. Is that all ties in with the 90s, right?
And that's why. I mean, that's why I brought it up. Is the critic has that stood the test of time? In my opinion, it has.
So I had a hard drive where I had all the episodes of the critic.
Oh, I have it. I have it.
And that hard drive got fried, and I was so mad that.
Oh, I got you, dude. I got you, dude.
What's funny is I'm in the same boat as you. I had a hard drive and it died.
Guys, I got you. I got all of them. Because there are certain cartoons because I feel like the 90s had a ton of cartoons geared towards adults. Yeah. But I feel like, and this kind of sums up the 90s, and I feel like the three of us, and I know Nick is a little bit younger than we all are.
By a year?
That's true. Okay, so I guess, but I feel like we all grew up in a pretty fucking awesome age, and I know everybody thinks that about the age that they grew up in, but I feel like we had just enough technology for it to be cool, not enough to keep us from being outside a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? We were right in that sweet spot. So, I think about, when I hear the 90s, I think about a ton of those adult oriented, not adult, but adult oriented cartoons. And there are some that did not stand the test of time. That there's some that I bring up and people are like, what the fuck are you talking about? But The Critic is one. And I think The Critic is still hilarious. I fucking hate John Lovitz with all of my being, but I think The Critic is hilarious.
It's a hilarious show.
And there's one that I used to watch, and I don't even remember why I think it was it was on late at night. It was always on when I was about to go to bed, and it was just it was on Comedy Central, and that was Dr. Katz's Professional Therapist.
Yep.
But So I can picture it. I remember what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anything about that show.
Did you watch Home Movies?
No, not really. I know it's the same. I know it's the same team.
It's kind of the same, yeah.
It's kind of the same thing, yeah.
Like just real dry, just real, just it's like in the moment humor kind of thing. You know, like I wouldn't be able to go, you know, walking around, going reciting different jokes from it,
right?
But you know,
it was early. It was early. You know, John Benjamin. You know,
yeah.
You know, in that era, and I, you know, and fucking Dave Chappelle was on that show. You know what I mean? Like it was such a kind of early days of this weird comedy, because I think it started 95. Oh my god, it ran from 95 to 2002.
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
I remember watching it, watching Comedy Central, going to like Duckman too,
and that was another one.
That was the other
one
I was going to say.
Yeah,
I love Duckman. It is a stupid fuking show, and so it screams 90s, but I fucking love Duckman.
Yeah,
Jason Alexander, man.
Yeah.
It's so good. Let me see. What I remember watching it and going like, why does the animation look like this? It's so just but yeah, no,
that's a great way to
fantastic.
describe it.
dude. Like the first time I saw Dr. Katz, like accidentally, I seriously thought there was something wrong with my TV.
I feel like I might have seen it, like, because I remember, and this is, I don't take it as a point of pride, but it's interesting. It also shows how old I am. I watched the first episode of South Park air for the very first time, and because I'll never forget it, because it was Wednesday night. It was a school night. I was in fucking 5th grade, and I remember like seeing commercials throughout the day, because I think I remember what, but and I don't know if everybody else had this or it was just my cable, but like, did VH1 turn into Comedy Central? Like in the middle of the day? Okay.
No.
I'm not joking you. Mine did that. I had VH1 in the morning and I had Comedy Central at night on the same channel.
Huh. I don't know about that.
I need to look into that, because I know I'm not making that up. And the reason why I know I'm not making that up is because I remember there being like a Metallica week, and like they did all these
that
things
would be it.
each night, and I had to have my aunt record it for me on VHS, like all the different Metallica things. But I remember watching South Park. I watched it the very first time it ever aired. You know, I know that if you go back and watch those first several seasons of South Park, now they're pretty tame compared to how they are. You know, now they're doing crack baby basketball. I mean, it's a lot. You know, you think of edgy, and I remember that being like things like South Park and like Limp Bizkit and like the WWF during that like 97, 98 era. Like, that was the shit, man. There was no better combination. And if you're in your early to mid 30s, and you didn't tell somebody or your teachers or anything to suck it, or respect your authority, or suck it, or you said the word fucking, you know, nookie, like, you didn't live in the 90s, really.
I got in trouble for throwing a suck it in the school hallway.
Everybody did. I definitely got in trouble for doing it. And that was one of the several times my mom was like, "You're not watching wrestling anymore."
Yep.
One of the several times my mom said that. And then it actually happened when I broke a kid's arm on accident, but we don't need to talk about that.
See, I kept it classy. I just threw stone cold middle fingers at everyone.
And I know we're kind of jumping around here and everything like that, and I think that's what I think that's what the 90s does to me. Like, there's so much of it, and that's why, you know, this episode I just kind of wanted to do kind of a coast through, just to kind of get everything out in the open. But I plan on, when we do other side quest episodes, you know, having specific, you know, we might talk about 90s music or 90s movies or 90s cartoons. or let's talk about the fucking year 1991 or 1990 and what happened that year, and just kind of go down those rabbit holes and see where the conversations goes. But as far as structure goes, I mean, our podcast number one isn't really the most structured podcast in the world, so I don't want to start it here.
But expecting so much from us.
I mean, yeah, exactly, exactly. And we'll talk about 90s video games and kind of those. I know we talk about 90s video games most times, but we might talk about those big landmark games that changed things, like Final Fantasy VII. Not a game that I particularly love to death, but I know that it had a huge impact, a Genshin impact on video game culture. That was a bad joke. It was a bad joke. It was a bad joke. I admit it. I'm gonna shoot it over to Andrew for 5 seconds. Mm-hmm. When you think of the 90s, what comes to your mind first?
Okay, so the very first thing that I always think about when anybody wants to go into this topic of the 90s or whatever is the very, very first memory I have being in a movie theater. Is and I know I may have been, I honestly must have been in other movies at the time, but my very first one is always Jurassic Park. I was still very young. Oh yeah. But I love dinosaurs. That
was 93, right?
Yeah,
92, I think. No, 93. 93.
Sure, hold up.
Well, just to let you know, and I'm not to cut you off, I went to type in Jurassic Park on Google. Mm-hmm. Jurassic Park is not. I typed in the word Jurassic. Jurassic Park is not the first thing that pops up. Jurassic Bark, the episode of Futurama, pops up
Why?
first.
Why do you want to bring this podcast down right now?
No, man.
No, I know, man. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But yeah. Kids love dinosaurs. Obviously, I love dinosaurs. Yeah. My parents most likely wanted to see this movie, and they took me as a child to it. So they were those parents. I remember.
I saw it in the theater with my parents.
Yeah, but with the whole kids and everything, I don't know if I was a very sit still and watch the movie kind of kid. Okay. So, but yeah, I remember, and it's also one of the only times I can remember actually having to do it is the scene when the Tyrannosaurus, starts wrecking up everything. That my mom told me to shut my eyes, or close my eyes, or not look at it, not watch, and I did just that.
Interesting.
As a little baby boy, because Mom knew best, so I'm gonna listen, kind of thing. I think I may have tried to peek at it and everything, but I was kind of no, I can't look at it. Oh, it's gonna be real scary. So, but I do remember that aspect of the 90s being the very first time in a movie theater, and of course after that came all the merchandising that they did off of Jurassic Park. God, yeah. Oh my Lord. I had the bed sheets. I had the video game. I had you name the action figure, I probably had it.
I didn't have the bed sheets. I don't think I've ever really sat down and played a Jurassic Park game, but yeah. I had the action figures. And for me, when I think about the Jurassic Park action figures, and tell me if you remember this one, mm-hmm. was the T-Rex, but that had the
little cut.
The ribs. You could see its ribs.
Yeah, battle damage, bro.
Yes, battle damage T-Rex. That was the one that if you didn't have that one, you didn't have the good Jurassic Park toys.
Exactly. Yeah. I had that Tyrannosaurus. I had the Ford Expedition.
Yes.
Toy. I
think it's an S. Is it an Expedition or is it an?
I don't think
Escort.
It's maybe whichever one it is.
It's not Escort. What is the one that you had?
No, it's not an Explorer.
It's not an Explorer. Okay.
Yeah, it's not an Explorer. I know that. But I had the big play sets, the that was basically the little main area, the little pagoda looking thing that they're in.
Oh yeah.
I had that also as well. And so it came with like sort of fencing kind of thing you could kind of set up around for like a perimeter. And yeah,
I remember that. Yep.
Yeah. I would. It was one of those ones where like your parents are like, you're in trouble. I'm throwing away your toys. Like one of the ones where I was like, okay, but don't throw this one away. Not this one. So I think I had an Alan Grant. I don't think I really appreciated Dr. Malcolm as much as you do as an adult.
Well, when you're a kid, the stars of those movies are the dinosaurs.
It really
like,
is.
Oh,
yeah.
people, fuck off! Like I don't like Laura Dern. Who the fuck? Like
What are you gonna do?
Well, I mean, I can understand why you didn't appreciate Malcolm. He spent most of the movie just like lying down,
yeah.
And then being shirtless for a scene.
Yeah. Hey, but that scene, man.
it's yeah, exactly. It's funny. I remember being like a snarky teenager and seeing I think I would like maybe I watched it at like my house with like a girl or something. I can't remember, but like I remember thinking that I was so funny, being like, pff, and I kept making this joke over and over again, and it's super cringe. Like, pff, what, they couldn't get Helen Hunt? Like that was supposed to be some like fucking edgy burn on poor Laura Dern. Like,
oh man,
I think because I thought Twister was like this is a bad thing I'm about to say, and I know I'm wrong for thinking it, because now of course Jurassic Park is the better movie. But I think when I was a kid, I really liked the movie Twister more than I liked Jurassic Park.
You fucking contrarian. At a young age. What the hell?
So you liked Twister because there was more destruction in that. That is probably why. Because if you go back and actually watch Jurassic Park, I think somebody actually timed it. The dinosaurs were only in there for like 17 minutes.
It's a slow burn. That movie is, well, I mean, and you also got to keep in mind it was 1993. How good, and trust me, that CGI does not look great, not age well. But how great could they bring that in? You know what I mean? Like nowadays, like when I remember watching like Jurassic World, and I remember like they do the shot where they like pan under it. I remember listening to this podcast episode one time, and they were like, they should have had the dinosaur's butthole. They should have showed it.
Oh my god!
And like we're talking about nuances like dinosaur buttholes compared to like
goodness.
Just not seeing the dinosaur in 1993. It's like if you go back and watch fucking Toy Story 1, and I remember thinking that technology will never get better than this.
Muted.
Mm-hmm.
And go back and watch Toy Story 1 now, and it's dog shit. It looks like a fucking Flash video that would be on GeoCities.
It looks like a long GIF.
Yeah.
And you see what's funny is like I think it actually still doesn't look that bad, aside from human characters.
Yeah, the human characters
True,
are really
true.
Like they're probably the worst looking thing in the Toy Story, like the first two Toy Story movies, but like everything else, world, environment, like toy characters, they look great. Still.
Do you remember seeing Lost World? Did you see Lost World in the theater?
I did.
I do remember seeing Lost World in the theater also as well.
So I loved that movie in the theater, and then I just feel like it lost its traction, and I remember it like just not living up to it. But I think Lost World is awesome.
I think it's a great movie. It's not as
better
good
than
as the
3.
First.
It's better than 3.
Oh, it's much better than 3.
Yeah.
A little story about Lost World is again so into the merchandising of Jurassic Park that my mom, would get me all the kinds of Jurassic Park stuff. And when Lost World came out, I think I got a board game based off of the movie. And I think the cashier was talking to me about the movie, asking if I saw it. And I spoiled a bit of it, and my mom got so mad.
Because of the cashier didn't know.
Yeah, it's like I think it was still new,
You would have been 10, so you You don't know the concept of spoilers.
I don't. But like,
You're 10.
I do remember this. Like, I got pretty in trouble for it. I think I wasn't able to play the board game until she felt like I deserved it again.
Because you spoiled the movie.
Because it wasn't even the movie. It was one scene. Okay, so
you remember the scene?
Yeah, I know exactly what scene it is. I'll spoil it right now, everybody. Guess what?
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert for a movie that's 23 years old.
So you remember where it's Malcolm's daughter and
Malcolm has a daughter?
And God, what was her name?
Todd hasn't seen most movies, so
yeah,
I'm pretty sure I've seen this one.
So, but if they're in the shed, the raptors attacking them. The daughter kind of like, oh look, I can kind of squeeze him through this part right here. It'll be fine, right? They're like, okay, cool, go ahead and start squeezing through.
No, I don't think it'll be fine.
Yeah, and then right as she's about to go under, the Velociraptor head pops up out of nowhere. You know, I spoiled that, and my mom got so mad.
That's the least spoiler.
Exactly. There's nothing about that scene.
Oh, that'd be like saying
it's like, oh my god, you've spoiled a potential jump scare for him.
That's like saying, you know what? The movie has nighttime in it.
It's like saying, like, you know what? In Nightmare on Elm Street, guess what? Freddy kills somebody.
I honestly don't think spoilers were a thing until the 90s.
Yeah?
Because, once they were in movies...
Later than that, I think.
They were in movies, and then they were gone. I mean, there was VHS, but it wasn't... It didn't get huge until the 90s.
Well, you didn't have a VHS of the movie you just saw come out until a year after.
And that became a thing.
And that's only if your parents bought it for you.
Right. Yeah. So that wasn't a thing. So if you missed it in the movie, you just missed it.
Okay, that's fair. I like that.
But now, once we had VHS and Betamax and Laserdisc and all that, it became an issue where some families didn't go to the movies, but they might have rented it later. And if you spoiled something, then it became an issue. So that's how I would say spoilers didn't show up till the 90s.
But here's the thing. I would say, like, spoilers didn't show up. Yes, it's still the 90s technically, but like at the
peak of
the advent of the internet, because because even if they're not going to theaters to watch these movies and they're waiting for VHS or something, like you said, that's like a good 6 months to a year. Right. They can forget whatever the fuck you told them.
Especially depends on the movies. So especially fucking like Titanic.
But
that was in the theater. That was in the theater for like a year.
Yeah.
But were summer blockbusters a thing in the 80s?
The 90s for sure.
I would say they started around Star Wars, which would be late 70s. Mm-hmm. Lucas pumped out a bunch of his, like Indiana Jones and all that. But the term blockbuster was really like what, Jaws? I think was one of the first movies.
That was the same year as Star Wars, as
so
New
that's
Hope.
Late 70s into 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of that has to do with it. But also, Eureka's Castle, Double Dare, and Gumby.
Gumby is like the 60s, bro.
Gumby's is the 50s, but it was syndicated on Nickelodeon in the early 90s.
Well, I know that too. I remember, and I think the Gumby movie came out in the 90s. 95.
I looked it up. I looked it up because I was about to bring it up, and I was like, I think that's later.
Because I definitely saw the Gumby movie in the theater, like for sure.
My fucking mind as a child. Was Jurassic the second Lost World? Was that the one where the little girl got eaten in the very beginning?
Yes.
She didn't get
little
eaten.
bitty dinosaurs.
Yeah. She was attacked by them. She wasn't eaten.
You can't prove it.
I like to think that she was eaten.
There is a line that John Hammond says where he's like, "Oh no, she's fine. She's fine. The girl is fine." But the parents are mad.
When were those books written?
I would say the 80s or the 70s.
Curious about that. I never read them. I just heard they were a lot darker.
Yes.
I know in the original Jurassic Park, somebody shoots a velociraptor with a rocket launcher.
Was it blue?
No, it was steel at that point.
Was it?
Oh wow! 1990 is when Michael Crichton wrote Jurassic Park.
Perfect. Yeah, the Lost World was 95.
So
Because I read that one right
Dude,
before the movie came
I've
out.
read that one too, and I haven't read the original. I'm
the
saying
books
both.
like lean heavily on chaos theory, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. I was afraid. I walked out of Jurassic Park 1. I cried because I was a little baby. I was not into that kind of realism.
Were you born in 87?
Yeah.
Okay, so you had introduced. Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, at that time, like I said, I was watching fucking Eureka's Castle, and
what an amazing this is why this is fascinating to me, because like I remember, and I very plainly remember this. I remember going to see Jurassic Park, and this is going to be, I know I hate it when podcasts do this, but I'm going to be real regional here. I saw it at I don't remember what the movie theater was, but it's the movie theater that later turned into Alamo Drafthouse on Mason Road, 5 minutes from where I live now. And I remember seeing Jurassic Park in the theater with my dad and some friends of mine, and there was no nobody left upset. There was no dad, of course, didn't tell me to cover my eyes or anything like that, and we were fine. And so, but I was also, and I've talked about this before, when I was very young, I wanted to watch a scary movie on Halloween, and my parents just let me watch The Birds and then Psycho, and I think that fucked me up for life when it comes to that stuff.
That dude getting eaten in the outhouse, I was like, nope, done here. I need to go.
I see. Should have just covered your eyes, man. I didn't see that until I was. But
there
was
stupid shit. There was stupid shit that used to scare me. Like not scary shit would scare me.
Like the bush in Titanic.
Oh, I do have a story about Titanic. I'm going to tell in a second. But no, I remember. Okay, real weird niche memory. But I remember I loved watching old home movies of like my family. I don't know what it was, but like when I was really young, I loved watching them. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe even at a very early age, I was into nostalgia. I don't know.
It's about to turn dirty, and I'm pretty sure.
No. But one time it was like a Christmas, like when I was like 4, maybe 3 or 4, and we were watching it, and it was recorded over a VHS recording of Pee-wee's Playhouse.
And do that.
I know, and it scrambles out of the home movie and into Pee-wee's Playhouse. But it scrambles in at a time where, like, I don't know if you guys have ever deep dived Pee-wee's Playhouse. That was one of my favorites when I was a kid. Missy Vaughn, who plays Kelly's mom on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, is getting a makeover, and they make her look like a clown, like a silly clown. But the tape distorts right into that. And that shit used to fucking freak me the fuck out, to the point that my mom would literally had to like figure out, like take the tape to like a professional to have just cut that part out, because if I were to watch it,
record it over it again.
Dude, who the fuck no? I remember that being a thing.
So were you afraid of clowns?
No, that's the thing. I don't remember having anything that I would, other than bees, which I'm still fucking horrified of bees. I've never been really afraid of one thing.
The savior of our planet, bees.
No, I get it. I totally get it. But honestly, there's been nothing that I've ever been afraid of.
So
that's of something like
it.
I don't know.
I remember renting it, the 2-part VHS tape
from Tim Curry one.
Yes, the Tim Curry one from Blockbuster. I remember renting it from Blockbuster. There's some 90s shit. And watching it and thinking it was stupid as fuck.
I mean, it was.
It was stupid because it was so fucking long.
And they didn't run a train on that girl, so like it's not.
I mean, they didn't do it. They didn't do it in the remake either.
They weren't. It's not according to the book.
Todd? Have you read it?
No, I just know that scene.
That's in it. Yeah. I remember I read it in high school, and I remember reading it and getting to that part and being like,
makes sense.
This seems very inappropriate, Stephen King.
So I had heard about it whenever they were making the movie, because
the new one.
Yeah, whenever they were making, what was it, 2017?
Something like that.
They were like, well, how are they going to address the kids? Spoilers for the book, not the movie. I don't know how the movie ends.
No, there's nothing bad in the movie.
So in the book, the way that they get over a lot of this is they're like, well, we just need to be adults.
Yep.
And how many guys are there? There's like 5.
5.
They're like,
There's
Yeah,
one
don't,
girl. That's all
don't
I
call them
fuck.
guys. They're little boys.
sure. They're like, let's fuck the token girl. And so they just run a train on this girl, and they're like, we're adults now, not scared no more. Fuck this clown. And they kind of walk off, and it's over.
Yep.
There was no way they were going to do that in the movie, but like,
Not even
fucking
fucking
pedo or not.
not even Lars von Trier would touch that scene.
Didn't Stephen King say that? Like, yeah, I was just coked up.
Oh yeah.
I wrote that.
Oh,
He
I
was
think
coked up most of that time.
How else can you fucking justify his bibliography? Like that dude writes
Misery.
3 books a year, and they're all over 1,000 pages.
He's the opposite of George R.R. Martin.
Exactly.
Yep.
Have Stephen King finish. I almost called it
No.
Lord of the Thrones.
Lord of the Thrones.
Lord of the Throne.
No,
Wow.
we've already had a couple sci-fi series where another author takes over and it just kind of takes a weird turn.
I mean, it can, but then you have, Wheel of Time, which is like a 14-book mega fantasy series that was Robert Jordan. Robert Jordan died before the last book came out, and they got Brandon Sanderson to finish it, who's an amazing fantasy author, and he did a really good job. But I think that's like the one. I think that's like the one.
I think that was our one, and that's like our Spider-Man. There's your one, and then we're done with the rest of
Yep.
literature.
Look, just have Stephen King do it, but make sure he's coked out of his mind again. It'll be fine.
I don't. He's
He would
old,
die.
man, and
He would die.
he's old, and I feel like if you gave Stephen King cocaine now,
It wouldn't do anything.
he would literally find a way to like figure out how to humiliate Trump, like in Game of Thrones. Like it's gonna figure out some way to tie in Donald Trump to Game of Thrones or something.
I wonder if he
hates them.
survives because he's from Maine. So, like, his body temp is rising from all the coke hyping him up, but then it's so fucking cold it balances him out.
I don't.
Right.
Does he still live in Maine?
As far as I know, he still lives in Maine.
Okay, interesting.
It wouldn't
Or are we just morons and just assume he lives in Maine because every fucking book he writes
set
takes place in Maine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fucking psychopath.
I'm looking it up. He graduated from the University of Maine.
In Bangor?
Bangor, yep. Okay, he does live there.
Good Lord.
And I'm telling you, like, I can't wait. There's so many things that like I want to talk about because I love the 90s, and there's so many weird little niche things that we could go into. One of them being fucking Scholastic book fairs.
Oh my goodness.
Oh god.
And I know,
couldn't afford
and so,
the I Spy books.
yeah, well, all of that shit. I mean, that spanned regionally. So Andrew and I, while we grew up in Texas, I know Todd, when you were in the 90s,
I was in Dallas.
you were in Dallas.
90s,
Okay.
yeah.
But Ed was in New York.
Oh yeah, well, Scholastic is like the
He's
largest
everywhere.
publisher.
Yeah.
I think maybe Random House is bigger.
But I would. That's like there've been. I'm in my
Penguin?
like
Yeah.
this is something that I know Andrew has either he hasn't thought about it, or I'm gonna say it and now he's gonna get really excited in a few years when Lily gets to take him to a fucking Scholastic book fair. Because I would look creepy as fuck walking into an elementary school to a book fair. Andrew has a child now and could do this.
There is a elementary school by where my parents are at.
Microphone
And
muted.
so anytime I pick up Lily, after work, I pass by the elementary school who is currently doing a book fair.
Oh man.
And I'm like, heck, I'd get COVID for a book fair.
Just one more time. And I remember, and it's so funny. I have if you don't know, I do my podcast in a fucking closet. And, I'm looking at my top shelf and I have tons of like Calvin and Hobbes books up there, all of which I got at Scholastic book fairs. I have every single original paperback or hardcover Where's Waldo book up there. I have the true story of the Three Little Pigs original from the Scholastic book fair. the Stinky Cheese Man up there from the Scholastic Book Fair. I've got all of that shit that I originally bought from the book fairs, and I'm so glad I kept that shit, because those are some books that, like, if I do ever have kids, I'd like to pass on to, because those are pretty great books from the 90s that I don't know if they've necessarily stood the test of them. And I have another one. And we'll get into again. There's literally so many episodes we can do of this. There is the true stories to tell in the dark, scary stories to tell in the dark.
Did you see that movie?
So Alyssa and I started watching it, and we stopped. It was like, what the fuck?
It's not good.
It's not good. It's not good.
I have another
real quick though. Real quick. Right as the reason why I bring up the scary stories to tell in the dark is, if you go buy these books now, they have, I don't know if they lost the rights to the artist, but but it's completely different artwork. Which to me, the artwork is the book. And apparently the artist is coming out with a new spiritual successor to those books. And I backed it on Kickstarter.
Of course you did.
Of course, yeah, and because it was like $10, it was super cheap. But yeah, that's that, and I'm so happy I kept those two for that reason. Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Okay, so when did Power Rangers come out?
95.
Really?
92.
No,
I was about to say there's no way it's 95.
92.
Okay. It is 92.
Yeah.
Really?
Isn't it?
Okay.
Ooh, yeah. That's another one.
That's coming up. Side Quest episode 3, I guess. I have it as 93 according to Wikipedia.
It's 93.
Okay,
It's 93.
Okay.
God, everything good was in 93.
Was the year, man.
93 was the shit.
Yeah.
93 was awesome.
So are we just going to forget about 90 through 92?
Well, when we
we're
start
just going to jump right to 93.
we'll start with 90, and then we'll go from there. And then, again, who gives a fuck? It's our podcast. We can do whatever we want with it.
Did y'all talk about like the best music of that year?
Oh, dude, I could have a podcast where I could just talk about 90s music.
Wilson Phillips, Hold On, was the number one song of that year.
Of 1990?
1990.
1990? That's a
What
great
was 93?
Oh, let's find out.
It was a banger, I'll tell you that.
I can
bet
tell
it was
you
Janet- I bet it was
Sinead
Janet
O'Connor is
Jackson.
up there.
I bet it was Janet Jackson.
Well, let's find out. Wikipedia, give me. It was not.
Okay.
Oh.
It was Whitney Houston.
With what song?
no.
I Will Always Love You.
I will always
Okay,
yeah.
that was the year that The Bodyguard came out. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Like I was saying, I could do just a podcast about 90s music, about the trends, the fashion that it created. I think, and I know, and again, I brought this up earlier, everybody thinks they grew up in the best generation. I truly believe the 90s was the best music era because every genre was awesome. Maybe not so much like country western, but like
Brooks and Dunn was there. Yeah,
Brooks and Dunn was in there. Alabama was there. Like there's George Strait, Garth Brooks. Garth Brooks blew up in the 90s. But I feel like every single genre it blew up in the 90s. Whether it be, if you look at what was one of the biggest songs of the 90s, it was the freaking Macarena. Even from there, you have everything. And they all had just what Andrew said, just banger after banger after banger after banger of every single genre. When you play now, like if you go, I want to play like 2000s like hip hop. 2000s was great for hip hop. But I'm not emo music and stuff like that. But I'm not necessarily looking for specifics like 2000s country or something like that. But if I put on a 90s playlist like on Spotify or something, it's got something for everybody in that playlist, and everybody loves all of it. When I got married, I was like 90s, just stick with the 90s. And for the most part they did, and it was awesome, and everybody had a blast. I remember the first song that played was Montel Jordan's This Is How We Do It,
Did y'all discuss Vanilla Ice and Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go?
I mean, dude, again, we're going to jump, we would be jumping around so
That's
much.
1990.
I'm kind of glad you went Vanilla Ice and then Go Ninja Go, and not Vanilla Ice starring in Cool as Ice.
No, definitely not. The top 10 movies of 1990: Ghost, Home Alone, Pretty Woman, Dances with Wolves, Total Recall, Back to the Future Part 3. God, Back to the Future, is that old?
Yeah.
That's the last one.
Yeah. Die Hard 2. Presumed Innocent, which I have no idea what that
Don't know what that is.
It's a Harrison Ford movie.
Yeah.
Wait, is that I Didn't Kill My Wife? No, that's a different movie.
No, that's Fugitive.
Yeah. Number 9, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and number 10, Kindergarten Cop.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles made $200 million in 1990.
And didn't it literally come out like less than 1 year after the first one did?
No, this is the first one.
Yeah,
No, I don't.
So that's the
I
good
think the
one.
first one came out in '89.
No.
No.
This is that 90.
No.
It's pretty damn close.
Oh, when did the cartoon come out?
Oh, cartoon came out before this.
88, right?
Yeah.
It was like 88
Yeah.
or something
It was
like that.
like
Okay,
80s, yeah.
I think that's what I'm thinking of.
Secret of the Ooze was the second one, right?
Yes, that
Yes.
is the second.
A year later, Secret of the Ooze was released.
I know
in
that
theaters.
it was back to back because technically, and you people can spin this however they want to, but technically, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that's an indie movie. Look at
isn't
New
it
Line. I would say
New
New
Line.
Line made it. That's not.
The New Line Cinema movie.
Though I've never heard of the production company.
That's what I'm saying. Like the company that made the movie.
888 Productions,
Oh,
Golden
I hate it.
Harvest Entertainment Company.
you know what's so great about the 90s movies is I can remember like the splash pages for, or I guess whatever you want to call them now,
Posters.
for a lot of but like the different production companies in the beginning of credits.
Oh yeah,
I can remember how
Indian Paintbrush.
I can remember most of those.
New Line was what? The film reel?
The film
Yeah.
reel.
Yeah.
Columbia TriStar was the woman. No,
Yeah.
Columbia
Yep.
was the woman. TriStar was the Pegasus.
The horse.
I think.
Pegasus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Orion was that spinning
just-
O.
Orion, and then it's like blue tilted in italics, I guess.
And then
Yeah, it's in italics, but it's like
big,
the Orion.
thick, it's big,
Yeah.
thick italics. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like the outline of Orion's belt make the O, and then it starts spinning to come out italicized the word Orion.
And
Does
then
that
I
mean-
guess around then Amblin came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
that's
E.T.
just ET. Yeah.
E.T.
Oh, Jim Henson. Oh no, Jim Henson died in 90.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh man, I feel like I remember that.
Secret of the Ooze did not do well in theaters.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
so
It's
It
so
is-
one
funny.
thing-
Growing up, I liked that one more.
Oh,
Really?
No,
I don't know why. I don't know why. Now I was wrong. I like the first one more.
No,
Now that I'm an adult, I have true opinions.
the
Hold
third
on.
one was the samurai one, right?
Yeah.
I don't think
Oh.
I've ever seen that. If I'm being honest.
It did not do well.
Dude, I was a kid when I watched it, and I was like, "This is bad."
For the second one or the third one?
The third one,
Yeah. The
like
third
the
one's
the second
nice.
one,
the
I was
second
like,
one is still fun.
Oh,
The
the
second
second
one,
one's
no.
great because that's
That-
good.
I like
good
the second
movie.
one.
but see that
God damn,
was the
I
problem.
might watch that fucking movie tonight.
What?
But
Because
see,
it
that
was so
was
fun.
the problem. Yeah, that it was fun. Like they don't even use their weapons in that movie.
Well, I know why though. Because mothers got mad.
Exactly, I understand that, but still,
Really interesting.
Yeah, mothers did not want their kids replicating the weapon violence that they saw in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So go back and you watch it, you'll never see a turtle in the second one use their weapons.
yep, the weapons are just glued.
How did Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles coming out of their shells come out before this?
The traveling show.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
it
was
was
a show.
89.
I went to that show.
I had the VHS. I was
I went to that show
privileged
and I
enough.
had the cassette. I had the cassette of the soundtrack.
I wish I got those action figures.
Oh, I still I had every goddamn action figure. And I've got, and I know Andrew has kind of, or I've told this story because I know Ed knows this story. I know Andrew knows this story. I had a ton of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle action figures, and I had the van.
Oh yeah,
But
with
you
the
could
pizza
you could
shooter.
you could
The
pour.
pizza.
Well, no, you could pour like slime into it,
Oh.
and like it could it created its own slime and stuff like that. It was really gross and hard to clean up. But
I just had the van with the shooter, the pizza shooter.
I do remember that. I do remember that too.
Yeah, that's the only one I remember.
I remember I ate a bunch of that slime.
Ooh.
And had to go to the hospital to get my stomach pumped.
Wow.
You're the reason why.
Yeah, thanks.
It's the reason why there's no more slime in the fucking show.
My older brother.
Like I've always wondered, like, why would they have to put this warning on here? Thank you, Jim. I can now put a face to it.
My older brother got there was a blimp toy.
Yes, I remember. I had that too.
Turtles. He got
it was huge.
Birthday. For his birthday, and he popped the actual blimp part that same day.
oh no! But hey, to be fair though, I bet like half of those got popped.
Most likely, yeah, because there's no way any kid is gonna go, I wonder if I can stab this.
The 90s were different times. We had access to knives that kids don't have access to.
And what was Raphael's weapons called?
The
size.
Size, yep.
Are those size?
Yeah,
they're not
It's
traditional size.
Whenever I think size, I think of like a scythe. My brain is dumb. So
I think of scythe. I think of Jim.
The board game.
That's a board, yeah. It's a twin sai. It's SAI, not SCYTHE.
You can spell that off the top of your head?
Oh no, I looked it up. What are you?
I was about to say
about?
I cannot spell scythe.
Oh, the word
top of my head.
scythe.
Yeah,
Scythe or scythe?
Scythe.
Oh, scythe.
I can't spell that off the top of my head.
Yeah,
SCYTHE.
No, I'm stupid.
The reason why, number one, the board game, because I've written it and typed it a million times at this point. But number two, there was there was a band called Children of Bodom, like in the early 2000s.
Yeah, I know that band.
And their big thing was they had a song called Scythe, something Scythe, and it was one of their big hits early on. And I remember constantly, searching for that song on YouTube and various other things. So that's why I know how to spell it.
I watched an anime where every other word was the word scythe, and I still don't know how to spell it. Fucking Soul Eater.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all need to call me in 1990. I think it was 2 for the Mighty Ducks. That's all I got.
Oh, I mean, trust me, we're gonna. There's so many fucking things we can talk about, and that's why. God, should Retro Spexx just be a 90s podcast at this point?
No.
Ed needs to go though. Ed hasn't said anything about his 90s experience.
Yeah, and that kind of, I know Andrew talked his. What's the thing that you think of, man, when you think of the phrase the 90s?
Illegal cable.
Black boxes.
Oh man. Okay, Ed, I'm gonna preface this question. Are you first generation American?
Yes, I am.
Okay, you are. Okay, all right. Knowing that, let's go on with the conversation.
Oh man.
That was like a loaded question, but okay.
Oh.
No, like that's how I watched all my movies and stuff. Like I didn't really go to the movie theaters too often. When I did, it was mostly for like blockbuster films. But there was like a bunch of other ones that I would watch on, using a cable box. Like,
where was your movie theater? Where was it?
The mall.
The mall?
Mm.
Yeah. It was actually one of 2 malls, and they were about equal distance away. So I would, like, if there was a movie that I really wanted to watch, I would just go and walk to it if, nobody could take me. So that was like 3 miles, no problem. I'm 12, or 13.
The streets of Long Island?
On the streets of Long Island, yeah.
Well, that's the other thing, though. Like, we all walked everywhere.
Yeah.
I would walk to school in like 1st and 2nd grade.
Dude, I walked to junior high and high school.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
I was
I didn't
like
live
a
close
mile and a
enough
half
to do
away.
that. I didn't live close enough to do that, but I would walk to elementary school or ride my bike to elementary school at very young ages. I used to rollerblade to elementary school. That's another thing we could rollerblading.
Oh god.
No. I would walk to the park. I walked back from my elementary school one time, and I had to cross a very busy street, and my mom was not very happy about me walking.
Was
home
this
from
in
school
Houston or was this in Corpus?
This is in Houston. So
Okay.
I had to cross Bel Air.
Oh God. Okay.
Yeah, as a child. So they were not happy about that.
Yeah. So no, like I would have to walk to junior high and high school, and that was like a good 1.5 mile walk each time, you know? And the funny thing is like the road that my high school is on was notorious for having crashes and people dying on it.
Oh my God.
Jesus.
Yeah.
You grew up near the I-45 of Long Island.
And, no, but this is like a residential road.
Yeah.
You know, and then I actually went back a few years ago, like 3 years ago or so, and even prior to that, they had already changed it. But I hadn't noticed it until this last time. They've got like 2 speed traps on this thing. They've set up like 3 more lights, and I'm like, well, where was all this when I was walking this damn road? You know?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but yeah, like going back to that, like really, yeah, illegal cable box and just great media, like shows, movies,
Yep.
cartoons, everything. I wasn't a reader, so you know, book fair, that's all going to be all you guys.
Microphone muted.
And I really wasn't into music until like 97, 98.
Yeah.
Okay.
So early
97 is when I discovered music myself. Otherwise, it was like top 40 radio songs.
Yeah. Yeah.
But 97, I was 11, and I'll talk. I've talked about it a million times, but I'll talk about it another time. That's when I discovered music for me.
About the same for me.
Yeah,
the summer
me
of
too.
ska. That's why you are who you are, Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, just it's really going to be for me more topical on things that will come, you know, that'll start coming back to me. Not so much like, so if you say like, oh, the 90s, everything's going to be related. For me, everything's going to be mostly related with like media.
Yeah,
Because
I mean, I think that's
really
what, I mean, a lot of us have, you know, I of course have personal memories of the 90s, but like nobody's going to really want to hear about those, but
Yeah.
you know, and you know, because we were kids, that's like the formidable years of our childhood.
Exactly.
You know, the first time I held somebody's hand, you know, was in the 90s, but you know, who gives a shit about that? I want to hear Ed talk about the pest.
No.
Oh yeah.
The pest. Okay.
Oh yeah.
The reason, literally, when I thought about doing these episodes and kind of veering off into just the 90s, the first thing that popped into my head is not what I thought of the 90s, but it was like, I just want to hear Ed go off about the pest. Because that is a movie that I was not even aware of, or let me rephrase that, I had never seen until Ed and I became friends. Because it was one of those movies that, like, of course you know the box art, you've seen it at Blockbuster a gazillion times, or Hollywood Video, or wherever you went, but like, oh, the pest, that looks dumb as shit, and you move on. But Ed actually watched that movie
multiple
and
times.
luckily, yes, and was fortunate enough to spread the good word to all of us.
Oh, man.
Yes.
No.
Oh, I cannot wait for that. I have so much.
I haven't seen The Pest in quite some time. So I maybe I'll see it differently, but yeah, I just remember the manhunting stuff.
You know what I would love to do?
You don't remember
a John Leguizamo podcast?
No.
Let's go.
You mean you haven't seen it enough to know the name of the pet snake?
I don't remember the pet snake. Oh God.
See, I watched the movie as an adult. I never watched it as a kid, so I have all that stuff fresh in my mind. But you know what we should do as like not even an episode, but like for something, we need to. And maybe if it's in the days of COVID past, maybe we'll all get together. We should do a DVD commentary track for the pest.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
That I feel like I want to do that for Ed's birthday next year. Is all of us sit down and do a commentary track for the movie The Pest.
And then I'm gonna tell you right now, you better get ready because Nick's gonna want to do Joe's apartment after that.
Oh my god! So
God.
just kind of as we're winding down, I the last place I lived had a roach problem. We moved because of this roach problem, and it sucked because I loved that apartment. I loved the location of it. I loved everything about it, but what I didn't love were the bugs and you know how unhappy it made my wife and I just being around those bugs at all time. But she had never heard of the movie Joe's Apartment, and after explaining it to her, I don't think she'll ever watch it just because it's too close to home. It's too close. The thing we were talking about earlier, things that we're legitimately afraid of. Hers is roaches. And so I will never subject her to that. It would hit too close to home. But Joe's Apartment, a classic as well.
Mm-hmm.
If I were to do one, and it sucks because I think The Wiz came out in '89.
Mm-hmm.
So that we couldn't do that one. I don't know what dude, yes I do. We would do Airborne.
Oh god.
The rollerblading movie starring Seth Green and Jack Black.
Can I do one of the in the lieu of Raul Cooley and Jacob doing Star Wars? Can I do Toy Story all the way through, recite it from memory, and I do a shot every time I mess up the lines?
Oh my god, you're gonna be drunk as shit.
I remember that movie very well.
Really?
Yes.
See, for me, that was Men in Tights. I could recite that entire movie.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
Like for
even the speech impediment parts of the Sheriff of Rottingham, I freaking know those still.
For me, it would be, and this is a weird one. It'd be the movie Heavyweights.
Heavyweights. Oh my God.
I was a fat kid, and that camp looked more fucking fun than anything else.
It looked so fun.
I begged to go to a fucking fat camp like that when I was a kid. And I remember seeing that growing up. My best friend, not to be confused with Andrew. My best friend was Andrew. The normal way people spell that name. But I will say, when I see somebody named Andrew, I think that sounds weird now.
Yeah.
Because I've been around Andrew now for literally a good chunk of my life at this point. Andrew is the proper way to say that name nowadays.
I'm sorry.
Sorry
to everyone named Andrew.
Growing up, my best friend was named Andrew, and he's still one of my best friends in the world today. But I remember seeing Heavyweights in the movie theater with him. And he was always really tall and lanky, and he was like, "I don't think I could go to the fat camp."
Wow.
He was so bummed.
The blob and everything, man.
The blob and everything. Now, funny enough, though, I got roped in for a summer to go to this Christian camp called Camp Allen when I was in the summer before 6th grade. They had a blob. Small world. Also, my wife also went to that same camp. Not when I was there, though. Yeah, small world.
I was gonna make a joke like, did they have it to be like, oh, this is how it would feel to go to heaven, and then you just come crashing back down because you sinned.
Because you sinned.
It goes to touching God.
If you want that feeling all the time,
it was, it was a miserable week. Because at that point, and I'm not going to talk about like my personal reasons, but like at that point, I started to like question things, and they didn't like that I did that. So yeah,
how can
I didn't go back.
God more.
It was also like I know that like the summer between 5th and 6th grade, it's kind of an important one because it's like the first time you feel like you're kind of growing up because you're moving on to a new school. There's no recess and all that stuff. But like that was a pretty formidable summer for me. I got into a really bad car accident with my family right at the beginning. Even though I was fine and my sister was fine, but like my mom broke both her ankles and my dad shattered his arm in like 12 places. So and my grandma came and lived with us, and it was my mom and my grandma would fucking fight all the time. It it was a fucking weird summer. And then you have that, you know, I have all this misery, you know, whatever 5th grade misery is. And then you have all this religious stuff, like everything's happening for a reason. And I just was like, wait, what the fuck? And I also just discovered like heavy metal. So like I was extra rebellious. But yeah, that was that summer. And that would have been summer of 98? 98 going into 99, I think, something like that, or 97 going to 99. I can't remember, but it was definitely the later part of the 90s.
I almost said the summer of 69.
All right, guys. Well, hey,
I
think we're gonna go ahead and call it. Next time, you know, next episode, we're gonna get back into video games. We're gonna talk about, and this might be kind of a unique topic. But we might get into a kind of holiday episode, kind of talk about some of the games and systems we got for Christmas and some Christmas morning memories. But we might also get into retail gaming, you know, with this being Black Friday week coming up. I know I famously, I've talked about it all the time. I worked at Best Buy, you know, when the PS3 and the Xbox 360 launched. I worked there when we sold N64s and GameCubes and stuff like that. So I go back even farther than the other guys on the podcast that also worked with me. And I have, you know, some video game retail stories that are, to me, hysterical. So we might go into that. And hey, again, it's my podcast. If we go into modern day consoles, I kind of don't give a shit. That's what we're going to talk about. But until next time, Jim Tindo 86. Dead Air Andrew. Y'all need to come up with nicknames. Y'all need to come up with nicknames.
I have a nickname. Y'all don't
In
use
Drew
it.
We trust. I get it.
In Drizzle.
In Drizzle. In Drizzle and fucking Night Scream over here.
Yeah.
So we're just doing gamer tags at this point.
Or Old McEd, as Nick would like to call me.
Or Congo. Don't forget. That's also
fucking
a 90s
yeah!
movie.
I'm Congo. Fuck.
Oh, we're gonna talk about
By the way,
Congo
Congo.
and it's fucking laser guns real soon.
God damn it! It wasn't laser gun.
Damn
it!
Oh man! Good night, everybody.
It was a white gorilla, lasers and everything.